The next scene is them laying in bed, and Steve puts his hand on Annie's shoulder. I don't know if that's his move to initiate intimacy, but whatever's going on, she's not into it because she'd rather go sleep out in the treehouse. I'm pretty sure it's daylight outside. I know they do this in movies where they record during the day and then they just color grade it later so that it looks like it's nighttime. And I usually don't care about stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure that those are bird sounds in the background.
For using it there.
Well, the heater's up there.
So now we're in Peter's room, and he hears Charlie's click sound. And he sees what he thinks is Charlie in his room. But then it turns out that it's just clothes on a chair, which surprised me. I've never seen that in a movie before. The next shot is someone sliding a flyer through the door for an open seance. And I feel like the cult or Pieman, they've just run out of ideas at this point. Next scene is the mom in the workshop. She reaches for some orange paint and she spills some blue paint without even coming close to touching it. And the reason that this happened is because the paint spilled on the note from Joan that had Joan's number. And I guess if the paint hadn't spilled, that she wouldn't have seen the note that was right next to her. So she goes to visit Joan, and she sees that Joan has a welcome mat that says Joni. It doesn't look like something that you'd wipe your feet on. It's sort of like a hand-stitched little pillow. She's like, my mom used to make mats just like that.
Your welcome mat. My mother used to embroider ones just like that.
And I guess this is just a major fuck up on Joan's part. It's pretty important for the plan that Annie doesn't know that Joan knew her mom. And then she leaves this fucking welcome mat right outside her door that was clearly made by Annie's mom. So Joan invites Annie in and they start having tea. Annie finds a little leaf on her lip. Now, going with the idea that it's Dittany of Crete, then we can assume that Joan has spiked Annie's tea. Joan asks,
How is your relationship with your son?
and you would think she's asking this question because maybe the family holds Peter responsible a little bit. Maybe they haven't even addressed it as a family. But that's not what Annie took it to mean, because she just starts telling the horrific story about the time that Charlie and Peter shared a room. And during a bout of sleepwalking, she covered them in paint thinner and then lit a match. The sound of striking the match woke up Peter and Annie. Weird that being covered in paint thinner didn't wake anyone up, but okay. She put out the match immediately, but it was impossible to convince Peter that she was just sleepwalking.
And Peter always held it against me. And there is nothing I can say and nothing I can do.
So this is the first time we get any idea that there's any issue between them at all. He's always seemed pretty easygoing.
Oh, so you're not eating with us?
No, I was still gonna eat here.
You can eat there if you want. I just
No,
didn't
no, no,
realize.
no, no, I'm gonna eat here.
You gonna take your sister?
Does she wanna go?
She's going with you.
Great.
Peter gets home, and he doesn't take his shoes off before walking upstairs. The dad doesn't say anything about it, and instead just asks,
Have you signed up for that SAT prep course?
I don't know what the fuck that dialogue has to do with anything. I guess what we were supposed to pick up on is that there's a bunch of shoe prints by the door. And that's a clue to us that the cult has been coming and going and just leaving fucking shoe prints everywhere. So the mom is in her workshop and the dad wants to tell her that dinner is ready. He sees that she's working on a new diorama and it's the scene of Charlie's death. And he's pissed.
I'm making dinner.
No, I made the dinner. I came to get you. Come, stay, whatever you want. I don't really give a shit.
So then we see them eating dinner, and she's being a fucking brat. Peter's like, it seems like you want to say something. And then she says,
I mean, why would I want to say something so I could watch you sneer at me?
is she the one that's possessed right now? What the fuck is she talking about? The dad keeps trying to get Peter to leave it alone.
Peter.
Say what you wanna say then.
Peter.
Instead of Annie, who is the adult, and who he is supposedly mad at, like 5 minutes ago. She says all she does is worry about him and slave for him.
All I do is worry and slave and defend you.
But she doesn't do shit for them, ever. She didn't even make fucking dinner. She says, and all I get back is that fucking face on your face. Everything that she describes.
So full of disdain and resentment and always so annoyed.
We haven't seen any of it. Finally, when she's done having her tantrum, she sits down to keep eating. And then Peter says, what about you? Why was Charlie at the party?
What about you, Mom? She didn't want to go to the party. So why was she there?
You're like, oh yeah, why was she at the party? I can't wait to hear the mom's side of this. But no, the dad just says, that's enough.
That's it.
Because the script doesn't have an answer to that question. The mom gets up and storms off. Peter and Steve just sit there. They don't say anything. So then it cuts to her leaving the art supply store. And guess who she runs into in the parking lot? Joan.
Annie!
Hi.
Oh!
Obviously, this is another setup by the cult, but why have the random drive there and pretend like you were also there shopping and just bump into her randomly? Like they have each other's fucking phone numbers now. Joan could just call her. She tells Annie that a medium came over to her apartment and conjured up her grandson. So Joan invites her over, and they're going to do Seance. Joan lights a candle. She puts her hand on a glass, and during this scene, the glass moves by itself. Something moves Annie's hair, and then Joan asks her grandson Louis to write on a chalkboard for her. He writes, I love you, Grandma. The spelling would suggest that he is 7, but the consistency and legibility of the letters would suggest otherwise. Now that Joan has proved to Annie that this is all real, she gives Annie instructions on how to do it herself. Now she's in the bathroom saying the instructions that Joan gave her. She thinks she's like enabling herself to be able to conjure Charlie, but what she's really doing is some kind of ritual to allow payment into her or into their lives. So after doing that, she goes and wakes up Peter, and she's like, I'm sorry for everything.
So sorry for everything. Please forgive me.
Are we cool? And he's like, yeah. And she wakes up Steve too. So now Steve and Peter are walking downstairs, and Steve says it's freezing in here. And he goes to close the window.
Wait, no. What are you doing? Wait.
I'm gonna close the window.
No.
And she says, no, don't. I don't want to change anything.
Can't change anything. I don't want to mess it up.
She says they got to put their hands on the table, palms down, fingers touching.
We need our palms on the table and our fingers to touch.
And they don't really move. So she's like, fine, we'll do it over here then. And she drags the table across the room.
We can do it over here then.
So much for not changing anything. Now Annie starts to do a thing that she's going to do a lot throughout the rest of the movie, which is she's just going to say a whole bunch of things really fast, and you kind of just have to go with it.
I'm a medium, okay? I was seeing apparitions earlier and I just shook them off and I shouldn't have.
Steve says, Peter, go to bed.
Peter, go to bed.
And he's just 100% on the mom's side.
I'll stay.
Again, going against everything we've been told about this supposed relationship that Peter and Annie have. So the mom takes their hands, not doing the palms down, hands touching thing. She does the glass trick.
I'm gonna have us all touch the glass.
Wow! Yes!
The candle on the table flames up real big. Like a really bad magic trick. And then the mom makes the funniest sound in the whole movie. And then she starts talking in what I guess is Charlie's voice.
Hello?
Mom?
Why are you scaring me?
Steve turns on the light and throws a glass of water in Annie's face. And that works. The dad doesn't really have a reaction to what just happened, and he doesn't bring it up again. Peter cries like someone who's never cried before. The mom doesn't know what happened.
What the hell? What are you doing?
So Whatever trust you just rebuilt with Peter like 5 minutes ago, that's all gone. It's fucking... You're not getting that back.
Just wanted to call and see if we could help in any way or offer supportive or hand.
Now, people have made the connection that her grandson's name is Louis. Maybe that could also mean Lucifer. But are you really going to go so far as to suggest that Lucifer, the ruler of hell, he's in this apartment writing, "I love you, Grandma," to trick Annie?